So I'm Maurio McCoy. I'm 25 years old. I'm originally from Reading, Pennsylvania, but now living in Los Angeles. What's to say about Reading? It's your blue collar town. It's hardworking, industrial, gritty, East Coast. Everything, it's everything that people love about the East Coast.
So growing up in Reading, how'd you get into skating?
Yeah, so I got into skating through my brother, Dante. When I was about 4 years old, he got into skating, and he was at 9 at the time. We have a 5-year gap, but he was like, yo, this is dope. You're skating too. You're my younger brother. Like, we didn't have that weird brother beef where like, he hates on me, I hate on him. Like, we were homies. Like, we were always homies, which was sick. Like, I know a lot of like brother relationships where they hated each other. They didn't want to spend time. Me and my brother did everything. So he's like, yo, you are a little version of me, so we're going skating. Like, you like this now too. And I did not care. I was like, whatever you want to do, I want to do. Like, you're my older brother, I want to do the same thing. So he got me into it like that. And like, it was tight. I got to spend time with him. I made a bunch of friends, and like, it's fun skating. Like, it was super fun.
Your brother kind of was like an inspiration to you at that point, right?
Totally. Yeah. He was always like the good kid at the skate park. Like, he was way better than I was for a very long time. I'll still say he's better than me just because that's like out of respect. But no, he was like the first person. What he did was he always put in my head, like, don't do anything weak. Like, he was so strict. Like, he was like, you better run that back. If it sucked, he was like, no, you got to run that trick back. Like, don't put that out. Like, I don't even want to call him a hater. He was just like a regulator. Like, he would just regulate my tricks. And it was cool because I had that like gritty older generation of dudes who just like, they were like, you're going to be good. We want you to be the dude who does turn pro. But before you do all that, we need to make sure we check you. Like, this is how you skate a skate park. This is how you do tricks. Like, I had that whole, just this older generation. It's not like now where you can't tell a kid what to do. Like, back then, the older dudes were like, don't do that, don't wear that, don't say that, don't skate that. Like, they were like super strict, but it put in my head like a standard, and that standard has like gotten me really far. I still think the way they put in my head, like, you got to do things proper, like no half-assing.
I mean, there's kind of like, even just as you mentioned, the East Coast mindset, kind of like in Reading, even like just a little gritty, but like, yeah, sort of like a do it fully, do it right. I mean, it kind of gets some resonance there. It feels like there's a little bit of that ingrained in your skating that kind of came from your brother and from everybody else around you. Is that safe to say?
Totally, yeah. It just was like, because we in Reading, like, you could imagine, even in like a place like Philly, like just the East Coast in general, like, nothing's handed to you. Like, we weren't getting some of the sponsors like maybe some dudes who grew up over here were getting. Like, we had to work. Like, our sponsor tape, even though it was getting sent to the same email, it still was like, we're from nowhere. So they're like, you got to be extra good to be from nowhere. So like, yeah, that was the whole vibe always. It was like, if you're going to do it, like, do it proper. Like, put on for the East Coast. Like, even living out here, like, I'm still an East Coaster. Like, I'm still from the East Coast. I'm still putting on for the East Coast as best as I can. So like, I'm not like falling into like the ways that people do things in California. Like, I still skate like I'm on the East Coast. I still find the high ledges. I still find the crusty spots. Like, I'm not trying to skate like the best perfect stuff. Like, nah, like I need a little grit. I need to hear when I'm grinding. Like, I need that for the homies back home. You know what I'm saying?
I guess, I mean, there's something to be said to that too. I mean, that's street, that's skating. That's like, that's the core. And it's gritty like that. It's not all picture perfect and beautiful, clean ledges that are, perfectly cornered and everything.
Never.
That's good. You don't even have to pick one, but can you list some of your inspirations? I mean, who are people that inspired you?
I would say, first and foremost, Kareem Campbell, hands down, biggest inspiration, because he was the first black skater that I saw when I was a kid, because I played a Tony Hawk game. And to me, to have a black dude in a video game and representing himself so well, to then have people that come after him like P-Rod, which is another huge inspiration, like, it represented this side of skating that was like a lot cleaner to me. And not to say like skating is dirty whatsoever, but like, these dudes just had a similar value of like what I put out. Like, it was like a Michael Jordan or like a Kobe mentality of like, what I put out has got to be proper, and not in like an athletic way, but in like I got to put on for skating in a way that's like not a lot of people go about. And I liked that. I felt that they like represented people of color like very well because they were just hardworking people. You know, they just like put on and did good stuff in their careers. And to me, those were like two huge inspirations. But now like it's hard because when you ask like, what's your inspiration? What's your favorite skater? You know, every skater's gonna be like, all right, I'll give you my top 5 because there's no way you're gonna be like, here's my one. But I'd say like current day, big inspiration, someone like Ashad War or Ware. Excuse me, I don't want to mess his name up. Someone like Ashad Ware or Tom Asta, just because those two dudes were local to me. Like Ashad's from Jersey, Tom was from Philly, and like I would always see them when I'd go skate in the winters at their like indoor park, and like those dudes were just like they always put on for Philly, and I was like that's all I want to be. And now I'm on a team with Tom, which is crazy, and I skate with Tom all the time, and I'm still just like, damn, like this dude is still good. Like it's just crazy.
The one thing I wanted to get into was talk to me a little bit about skating as a sport, like the idea of skating as a sport. And you mentioned even like doing it proper, not even in like the training or anything aspect. I mean, we can get into that a little bit later in terms of like skating as a sport, but talk to me about like that proper, right? A lot of people think of skating, right? And, you know, people who aren't maybe straight in the audience, maybe not even the trans world audience, like outside of that, everybody just thinks of it as like gritty street, like, you know, someone's out there like, yeah, they're trying to skate a spot, and they're, you know, they got a bunch of beers by them, they got some little Mickey's bombs or something like that. And, you know, it's like that's what they're doing. But and then no problems with that necessarily, but like this idea that it's like do it proper. What can you describe a little bit of that?
It's not even proper in a way that like it needs to be perfect, because by no means do I like perfect skateboarding. I think that's not the sickest. It almost is like you might as well kind of do it sloppy too. It's like it takes away from the difficulty. There's like this fine line, this very perfect spot, a sweet spot where it's like the way you landed a trick was just not perfect enough where you could tell how hard that trick was, but you didn't do it to a point where you were like just barely hanging on. You know, it wasn't like a contest making the streets, you know, like that fine line. That's what I shoot for. Like where I can do a really good trick, but my style can also shine through, but my style doesn't come off robotic. It's just, I was able to handle the spot, the trick, everything in a way that it was just like, he did it proper, didn't do it perfect, but he did it in a very, like a good relatable way, which is crazy about skating to say that, because any other sport you would want someone to be a robot, but people love when they can relate, when they're like, oh man, that was like sick. I could see myself kind of doing something similar. That right there, that relatable aspect, that's what I want to shoot for. Like I want people to get stoked when I do a trick. I don't want them to be like, all this went over my head. All these tricks were so hard. I don't know how to do any of this. I can't do any of this. I want people to be like, damn, the way you did that kickflip was like pretty, like, damn, I'm trying to go do a kickflip now. Like that was pretty tight. Or like, I'm trying to like go skate a little rail because like that looked fun. Like that's what I mean by do it proper. Like do it good, have a good idea of what tricks I want to do, but also get people stoked when they watch it and like just get them hyped to go skate.
There's an element of style in there where style isn't perfect. It's not cookie cutter robotic. Style is sort of you coming through.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's so hard, man. It's like they say, like you can't teach style. Like it's just like you either got it or you don't. And it's tough. And it's funny because that's what makes the world of skating so crazy and so like subjective, because like we totally could disagree on someone's style, but we could totally agree on someone's style. Or like, for instance, someone could be so technically good at skating, but for some reason we're just so stubborn. Like we're just like, I don't care. Like they're so good, but you're like, I don't care. And you like, I don't know why we're like that, but it's funny. You'd be like, nah, like when people say that push, that's the funniest phrase to me. When people are like, oh, that dude, the way that dude pushes, because it's so stupid. But it's like, it makes, as a skateboarder, you're just like, yeah, I like the way that guy looks, which is what it ultimately comes down to. It's like, I like the way that dude looks. Who cares about what he's doing? Who cares about the tricks? Does he look sick or not? Like, and do I kind of like the vibe of him, and can I relate to that vibe? I feel like that in essence is how you like, I mean, typically that's how I view skating. I'm sure a lot of other people view that the same way.
You know, in a few words, could you describe your style?
I try to land everything as proper, as like bolts, as all 4 wheels as I can. Doesn't always happen, of course, but I would just say like I just try to That's such a hard question. That is really like, that's a tough one. I don't know. Cause then it's like, I don't know. It's crazy to be like, cause we don't talk about ourselves in that way. Like no skater talks about themselves, at least openly. Maybe in our head we do, but like openly you're not like, damn, I'm sick. Like no one says that. So if I had to describe my style, I don't know. Clean, that's what I shoot for, as clean as it can be for whatever tricks, as proper, as like Reynolds-esque as you can be with flipping your board a lot, I guess, if that makes sense.
I would consider maybe your style could even just be, in the broader sense, like it's that East Coast influence. It's something like that, like we were talking about earlier. There's like that grit, but that like do it right, do it till it's done.
I got a good idea. So I think where my style, like, because I didn't even think of style in the sense of like spot selection, trick selection. Like I didn't even think of that. I just thought that like visually. But I typically try to skate stuff that's like, it might not be the biggest thing, but it's like as technical as I could get without it being too overly complicated. Like for instance, if I can go and skate over a handrail, like, and do like nollie flip over a handrail front side, a lot of skaters would be like, oh, that's like such an awkward trick. It's so weird. And a lot of people they relate. They're like, I don't want to do that. That's crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like those are the tricks I try to go for, or something that like, I really need to be able to pop over something that I know the East Coast has got me ready for. So if I can find a spot or do a trick over something it just shouldn't be done. Like it just shouldn't be possible. Those are the tricks I go for. It's not so much like the technical aspect of it of like, I flipped into something, flipped out of it, and then there's all these crazy things going. It's like, nah, it's just a simple trick, but you're like, man, there's like 5 people who could probably pop over that and do that trick. You know what I mean? Like that's what I shoot for. If I could be within that 5 people who did that trick at that spot because physically you have to be built like that, that's what I'm shooting for.